Hey everyone, it's me Puzzle. Today we'll look a bit further than just the second part of the remake, although for me personally, the scariest creatures are the mannequins, despite their trunks. However, in the Silent Hill series, there were even more terrifying monsters. How about a monster that transforms to match your individual personality, or perhaps the two-headed twins? Today, we'll dive into that. In Silent Hill Shattered Memories, there's the Raw Shock monster, and it's fascinating how this creature adapts to your psychological profile. Its name comes from the Rorschach test, a real psychological test. Interestingly, every player has a different experience when encountering this monster, because it changes based on what you focus on in the game. And that's insane! We've never seen anything like this in games before. The monster's initial form is primitive and grotesque. The Rorschachs are hairless, pale skin, humanoid creatures with no facial features, except for their twitching, grotesque movements and emaciated bodies. Their gender is impossible to determine at first, as they have no distinguishing sexual traits or genitalia. However, they tend to shriek in high-pitched feminine voices. They can also be heard murmuring in deep, undecipherable tones when Harry is hiding. As the game progresses, the Rorschachs begin to adapt to the player's psychological profile, taking on different traits. There are 4 possible traits they may adopt, and by the end of the game, you may encounter 2 or even 3 combined traits. Even if the Rorschachs are associated with a specific ending, it doesn't guarantee that the player will achieve that ending, and as I said, the monster changes depending on what you focus on. If you focus on bottles and alcohol in the game, the creature's skin becomes bloated, covered with bubbles, and fungi-like flesh, giving it a sickly, cancerous look. If, during the game, you focus on sexual moments, like looking at women, the Rorschachs will take on exaggerated female traits, with large breasts and prominent buttocks. The only feature on their faces are wide, full lips. Their backs are adorned with zipper-like rips in their skin, resembling corset threads. Their limbs are stitched like stockings, and their feet are shaped like high heels. Over time, they become more grotesque, with exposed organs, bones, and what appear to be nipples. When they embrace Harry, it is in a disturbingly sensual, sexually compromising manner. If, on the other hand, you focus on trivial things, doing mindless exploration or superficial tasks, the Rorschachs will appear mutilated and disfigured, with random holes throughout their bodies, bones sticking out, and their feet reduced to stubs. Their legs will be unnaturally thin, and if you play as a kind and caring character, the monsters will appear different. Their limbs will become discs, floating pieces of their body suspended in the air, giving them a sliced look. Their heads will be shaped like crosses with a circular hole in the middle. Eventually, they will become more stone-like, with their heads resembling bricks or mountains, and rectangular protrusions extending from their knees and shoulders. Honestly, in my opinion, this is one of the most unique features in any game. By the way, all of these transformations can also hint at which ending you're heading towards. Different monster appearances act as indicators of the game's conclusion. Do you know of any other games with something similar? If so, please share them in the comments. I'd love to know. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, a new video has been uploaded on the channel that solves the biggest Easter egg in the game. The video was released yesterday, so make sure to check it out. Another creature that could be considered one of the scariest in the series is Amnon. Amnon, the final boss in Silent Hill Homecoming, is one of the most disturbing and twisted creations in the franchise. Imagine this: a grotesque female torso with 6 insect-like mechanical limbs protruding from its ribcage. The creature looks unnaturally pregnant, adding a layer of visceral discomfort. Its bloated corpse-like face stretches and contracts on a sickly, telescoping bellow as though it's gasping for air. A dark pulsing tube extends from its mouth to its groin, making it all the more unsettling. But it's not just its appearance. Facing Amnon is a true test of both nerves and reflexes. This monstrosity can lunge at you with surprising speed, spray acidic bile that chips away at your health, and lash out with its multi-jointed limbs. To make things worse, if it grabs you, you're doomed. There's no quick time event to save you. The battle is a nightmare come to life, perfectly embodying the surreal horror Silent Hill is known for. The room is often overlooked but takes bold, necessary risks for the franchise's evolution. It removes any sense of safety, even making Henry Townshend's apartment, a supposed sanctuary, vulnerable to relentless paranormal attacks. Walter Sullivan's many victims manifest as haunting, ghostly apparitions, tormenting the player with their grotesque, decaying forms. These spirits are invincible, heightening the tension. Just being near them triggers intense headaches and psychic trauma for Henry, and at their most terrifying, they can reach out and grab his heart. As the plot progresses, you'll encounter Eileen. However, as Henry delves deeper into the horrors of his apartment, he encounters the Eileen head. Strange, right? The Eileen head is one of the rare monsters in the series that can't physically harm the player, making it even more unnerving. It's not exactly a monster, more like a psychological projection of Henry's mind. This is supported by the fact that the real Eileen Galvin never reacts to her giant head, even when she's present. The Eileen head follows Henry's movements with its eyes and breathes and moans heavily. It could be a manifestation of Henry's anxiety about protecting the real Eileen. And speaking of secrets, if you haven't seen all 174 hidden secrets in the game, you need to check out this video as well. It's almost an hour of content. The original Silent Hill may be over 2 decades old, but the eerie presence of the Grey Child still haunts players. These creepy creatures are the first enemies encountered when the town transforms into the terrifying Otherworld. Being surrounded by them is one of the most unforgettable and frightening moments in the series. This enduring fear is proof that the original Silent Hill truly deserves a remake. The Grey Child, with its pale green skin and indistinct childlike face, symbolizes various aspects, such as the protagonist's anxiety over searching for his missing daughter, or perhaps even a manifestation of the children who bullied Alessa Gillespie. Valti. This strange creature never directly confronts players, but it remains an eerie presence throughout Silent Hill 3, acting as a guardian who tries to guide Heather through her demonic journey. Although Valti is never an active threat, he stays in the shadows, manipulating the Otherworld and even attempting to revive Heather if she dies. Valti earns a place on our list due to his voyeuristic nature and strange fleshy design, plus his unsettling headshake. The twin victim, its design is straightforward, yet it's terrifying in its simplicity. Unlike many blood-soaked or abstract creatures, the twin victim has recognizable features, resembling zombies or monsters from the Resident Evil series. This large creature has 2 conjoined baby faces and moves on long, oversized arms. It only attacks when provoked, but when it does, the damage is severe. What makes it most terrifying is its strange behavior of pointing and whispering at the player before it becomes aware of them. Lisa from PT is arguably the scariest monster in the franchise. Players can't stop her. It's a non-combative game, so players must simply watch as Lisa haunts them. Her design combines both visual and auditory elements, making her just as terrifying when off-screen as she is on-screen. Lisa is unnaturally tall, twitching her head in a disturbing way. She wears a blood-soaked, tattered dress, and her ever-present grin makes it seem like she takes pleasure in tormenting players. The dark stains around her mouth and her missing eye, reduced to a bloody socket, make her even more terrifying. The distorted laughter and crying she makes through a baby monitor only add to her nightmarish presence. One look at Lisa can haunt you for days. The closer from Silent Hill 3 may reflect Heather's inner conflict with femininity and her self-image. The creatures have grotesque elongated limbs, while their other body parts appear delicate and feminine. Their huge size makes them loom over Heather, adding to their terror. And I think everyone will agree how amazing would it be to see a remake of almost any part of the series. Each installment has something truly horrifying, and maybe even scarier than the second part. Of course, nothing can compare to the Abstract Daddy, but there were monsters just as terrifying. If I've missed anything, or you think something is even scarier, feel free to share it in the comments. This was Puzzle, and I'll see you in the next video.